since about 2006. Very much as a one-on-one coach initially, moving into facilitation, very much in the component of leadership development and self, contextualizing the self. In terms of the passion for this specific research, I got very frustrated since 2006 to about 2017, interacting in 4 different provinces, both with district officials and leaders and school leaders. And I would hear from the media, teachers are absent, teachers are not in the classroom, teachers are not competent, even words like lazy. And my day-to-day experience in SEED in this work was these amazing people who were caregivers to the extent of burning out, who were going the extra mile, not obviously all of them, but the majority of them. And the key component being they cared deeply about the learner, about their schools, about education in South Africa, and this message was not coming through in the media. And as I looked at what SEED was doing, I could see the discrepancy between the one-on-one situation where leaders would say who they are and what was important to them and their values, and then putting them in a group collectively, how they behaved was so different. And I could see where the media was getting their messages, but this discrepancy bothered me. I wanted to uncover some information that would shift people from a very linear way of thinking. Bad results equals bad teachers. The two must go together. Or is it more complex than that? And that's when I became quite excited about some of the information we were gathering on quite a large scale over quite a long period of time. And my sense that there was this mismatch was just absolutely shown in my research. So immediately my mind is going towards leadership development in this space, to immediately say, well, we have to position ourselves in multiple places, at multiple levels and in multiple ways concurrently to address a systemic mess, in a sense, or these interconnected problems that obviously are at the level where just throwing money at them has not worked in the past. For me, we assume, due to the research, that adults learn in very different ways and in different time frames. And also are meaning-making entities. So they're making sense of what they're learning according to their own needs, according to their personal challenges. And so if a leadership development program does not enter a situation with an assumption of not knowing what the exact needs of the group they're going to do leadership development with, they are missing out on being relevant. And so for me, if one's going to do leadership development, there needs to be a process of observation and assessment. And not evaluation, assessment, as in finding out, as in activities to understand. And from that to design, even co-design with the people you're going to do the leadership development with, a process that is relevant and meets needs and is going to be personalized. The immediate result that I found most surprising, that comes to mind, is that at school level, principals and deputies actually, who they are in terms of their personality, the more carer personality, is congruent with how they see themselves as leaders in the organization. So the results triangulated, in contrast to at district level. And so of course I need to ask myself, why? Do we have better leaders at school level than at district level? And I would think not. And so what is going on in the system is what I was thinking. And the one thing that I know happens at schools is relational support in the staff from day to day, which supports the personality who's a carer. They have meaningful relationship. People are more important than task in that sense. And they have slightly more autonomy. The principal can create their own organizational climate and to a degree their organizational culture. Whereas when you're part of the mechanisms at district level, at head office, you are part of a bigger national discourse of leadership. I think what surprised me in all the results is the extent of the disconnect and the extent of one behavior set to the exclusion of others. In other words, the one-dimensional leadership. It's not a surprise that it's so one-dimensional, but it does indicate the intensity of the problem. And so what we need, the resource we need on a very basic level in leadership, in educators, is becoming aware of their style and of the style of leadership of the people that they're trying to lead, and just starting to build a broader repertoire of leadership behaviors and leadership styles that are available to them in a natural way, so that they can situationally adapt, just merely from being slightly more formal and organized to more relaxed and relational, more inspirational than informative, more people-orientated than task-orientated. From my experience in doing leadership development in education, the initial assumption entering into any space for a person doing leadership development needs to be, I don't know, and put aside any preconceived ideas. And when one goes into a situation, assuming you don't know, one goes in trying to understand. So in order to invest in education at this point in time, it would seem that resources are needed, but not alone. It would seem that infrastructure, toilets are all important, but not alone. Because of this internal dimension of literally one leader being told by two other leaders above them to do the polar opposite thing at one point in time. Literally go to the meeting, no, don't go to the meeting. And leaders sitting there confused, not knowing what to do. One would need to, first of all, have a long-term view. It cannot be hit and run type, small project-based interventions. The projects themselves would need to be part of bigger thinking. There would need to be a long-term process. There'd be multiple design of concurrent resources and relationship to change the system of engagement of people in the system. Funders need to understand, or in their mind, that relationship building is the way to get to the result of leadership development. And relationship building takes time. The one thing that one could assume going into education, certainly in high poverty, underperforming situations, is that there is negativity and there is stress and possibly even fear due to trauma. And so when one is having a workshop, one can assume that the levels of negativity expressed in I won't attend or is almost part of the package. And it's almost like one enters the space in a negative space of mistrust. You are, as an external person, mistrust. So there needs to be a little bit of patience from the funder's point of view and a little bit of in the design, a process actually of building rapport or building trust with the very people one's going to develop leadership. Because they're coming from, oh, who are these people now? They're coming from, is this really a good way to spend my time? They're coming from, I've been on so many of these workshops and I want to rather get on with the task. So there's, in a stressed system like this, there's an inability to detect a possible solution or even a possible gift that could help navigate through because of the level of stress. Everything is the same, it's all just another thing. And that's a very low level of functioning. One can take a good leader, put them in a situation, and they can be cut at the knees because of the environment situation. So you can't isolate good leadership by isolating the leader. The leaders would need to be in their context and do real-time learning. Part of the leadership development needs to be to ascertain what is the actual problem. So that we're not prescriptive. This is hard in the corporate mindset, because the corporate mindset, why we do things, profit's important, otherwise we couldn't exist. Why we do things in the social sector and in education is the learner. And the result is learner results. So the why is very, very different. The what is probably quite similar in terms of leadership development, but the how is absolutely crucially different. And so in a sense, the corporate funder could put on another hat of climbing into the shoes of the social sector, where it isn't chasing results, tangible results, as in profit. It's chasing intangibles that will lead to the tangible results. I passionately feel that leadership in our country is on every level, or should I say on too many levels, modeled so ineffectively that it's almost like we as in a nation, corporate, social, private, educational, have to make this our core agenda, because when there's no direction, there is no leadership. Education is overmanaged and completely underled. There is no leadership because of the confusion and the chaos. If corporates don't get on board with leadership in education, who's going to be in corporates in the future? Who's going to be the CEO? You can teach people skills, but you can't teach people attitudes and values. That's us. And so, for me, corporates are part of the us of this nation, and part of, and it's part of us joining together to make a difference in this country. And the scenario of not doing that is almost too scary to actually articulate. Who has the power? Is it the government, the education department, the unions, the learners, the parents, the communities? Who has the power? And actually we all have the power to either destroy it or create it. The scarcity of the resource of a leader, an influential leader, not just a person holding a position.